What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. My apologies for being a couple minutes late. I was just on Uptown Sports talking with Hector and Ace Avenue about some Yankee stuff. So they're still live, but I wanted to come here and talk with all of you. So thank you for joining me. Hit the like buttons. And again, my question is it hasn't been made official yet, but Luke Weaver, it sounds as if he's going to go with the MRI. He's going to go on the IL, and the projection is he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, right? And which could be a big blow to the Yankees. Now, my guess is, I have a couple of guesses actually, and a couple of questions for you. Do the Yankees stay with what they have, or do they go big on a trade with a couple of teams or a team to replace production? Because at the end of the day, who's available in free agency? There's really nobody aside from David Robinson. I like David Robertson, but the fact is, David Robinson is going to need a ramp-up period. And right now we need somebody to step in and replace production that we're not getting or they're not going to get from Luke Weaver. And I understand we have Devin Williams here. This is his opportunity to step up, right, and produce for the Yankees and give him some closing business here. So, and I hope that he does. And we have Fernando Cruz about to come back too. So we have some reinforcements. We got Johnny Loizaga and other reinforcements. And shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way. Jonathan Siciliano, Jarvis, Graham, Demons in the building. So what do they do? Right? Cam Schlittler, thank you to Jonathan for this. He was promoted earlier today from AA to AAA, but that's more for a starting pitching, not a bullpen move. Now, I don't know what type of darts they have in there right now for the bullpen who can come in and be an immediate contributor. But there's a couple of names that I consigliere. There he is. I just saw him on the other side too. And thank you for supporting Hector's channel too, my man. I appreciate it. That's the Tom Hagen right there, the Prime Minister of Texas. So a couple of guys here I wanted to mention, okay? I'm pulling them up here. We have Kyle Finnegan, who's the closer from the Washington Nationals, right? This year, he's 0-1 with a 2.61 ERA in 21 games, 20 innings pitched. He has 16 saves already, okay? This guy's 104 career saves. He also has 18 strikeouts in 20 innings pitched. So he can shove, and he's got closer experience. So could they bring in a guy like this? And why do I mention him? Because he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year. Okay? So they're not committing themselves to long-term money with him. Yes, he costs some money. Okay? Another guy I want to bring up is Ryan Helsley, who's the closer of the St. Louis Cardinals. Also going to be a free agent at the end of this year. Okay? So there's no long-term commitment here. And why do I bring this up too? Well, Luke Weaver and Devin Williams are going to be free agents at the end of the year as well. So we could lose those guys too. So what's going to be the most sensible option? Again, one of the things I mentioned to Hector and Ace is that one of the things that the Dodgers did is they loaded up on big-time power pitchers in the bullpen. Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, and some of these guys. They just traded for Alexis Diaz too. So adding big weapons in the back. And that's going to be hard to compete with. Okay, Tim Hill, I like him, but he's not Tanner Scott. Okay, so, and that's something we have to keep in mind. So, Ryan Helsley, this year, he's 2-0 with a 3 flat ERA. He's got 13 saves, 21 innings pitched, and 23 strikeouts. Again, another guy who can get the job done on the back end of a game, right? And that's what we need. So, but again, these guys are going to be free agents. So one of the last guy I wanted to mention was this is going to be the most expensive guy, but it's Mason Miller from the A's. Okay. He's 0-2 this year with a 5.49 ERA. So he's not shoving like he did the last couple of years, the way he did, but he's still going to cost. He's not a free agent until after 2029. So he's got 3 arbitration years after this year. He hasn't even started arbitration yet. So that's the type of guy. And he's got 12 saves this year. 19 innings pitches, 37 strikeouts. This guy's a strikeout machine, and he's a big-time flamethrower. Now, I don't know what it would cost, right? But it would not be cheap. But that, to me, represents a guy that would not interfere with the Yankees' ability to invest in other areas after the season. Because the fact of the matter is they're going to pay probably $10 million a year for Luke Weaver. Do they want to do that? I don't know. They're going to pay $10 million a year for Devin Williams. Do they want to do it? I don't know. That's the thing. We have all these other guys, and we have reinforcements coming. But, right, this is the key. And any addition they make now is going to be taxed at 100 to 110%. So this is why I bring up Mason Miller, because he's a lot cheaper than these other guys are in terms of payroll contract. So, but again, he's going to cost the most in terms of prospect capital in a trade. So, your thoughts, gang? And again, Arenado's another expensive player. Eugenio Suarez, not as expensive, but he could be a stopgap guy for third base, right? And if you haven't heard, Corbin Burns is potentially going to go on the IL too. He has an injury to his elbow. And do the Diamondbacks need a pitcher? This is where you can talk to them about potentially adding Marcus Strowman to a trade. And again, now, I'm talking to Jonathan about this too. The Yankees do have to give Strowman an opportunity to prove that he's healthy and productive. Now that it's been all guaranteed that he's not going to have his 140 innings option triggered, it's a vesting option, so it makes him more tradable. And teams are actually showing interest because they know they don't have to pay that. And, it's his right to go after it. I would too. But at this point, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't look like he's going to get it triggered. So could he be an option? You can add somebody like an Oswald Peraza or one of these other guys, Yorbit Vivas, and maybe a Roderick Arias to the trade and send to Arizona. Say, we're going to give you a third baseman right now to replace Suarez, who can come back to the Yankees and give them the right-handed bat that they need. And he's a developmental player, too, that you can – he also has positional versatility. He can play another position, too. So that's an area where I would do. I would not trade like a Clark Schmidt or a pitcher with controllable years. Clark Schmidt has 3 controllable years. I would not trade him for Eugenio Suarez, who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So that's why, and exactly, you got to have Strowman pitch before he's got to showcase him, right? And I mentioned this yesterday too, that the only way that teams are going to know that he's healthy and productive is if we see him pitch, we give him a chance to pitch. So now he could be an effective reinforcement for the Yankees too. He can give Will Warren a breather on occasion, and the rest of our starters a breather on occasion. He could do that too if he stays. We could also, give a team a jolt in the arm that wants to be on the pennant run or is in a pennant run or needs an additional arm. So, and this is where they have a good prospect. Well, good for the Diamondbacks. Then you give them another positional. How about an Everson Pereira, right? And you can give them, the prospect might not be major league ready right now, but you can give them a Yorbit Vivas. So you can plug him right into the major league roster right now, right? So, I think Miller can pitch in the big market. I think he can pitch in the big market. So, and again, it depends on how much he would cost, Mason Miller. But he would ease the load off of a Devin Williams. He would ease the load off of all the other relievers too. And again, you could intertwine him too. You could mix and match him with Johnny Loizaga at the closer spot. And when Weaver comes back, you can have him close too. So, and then if you bring in a guy like that this year, there's still Devin Williams, there's still Luke Weaver. Like, you can make him interchangeable. That way he can ease himself into being an eventual closer for next year. So it's that positional flexibility in a bullpen, which would make it easier to transition, I think, too. So, exactly. And again, this is where the Yankees can go big. My question is, will they go big, right? And Jake Bird from the Rockies, too, one of their relievers that we've talked about. I talked with Ace about this, too. A nasty reliever. Could the Yankees trade for him? I would be all over it, too. The price would not be cheap either. So, and he's got controllable years, and the dude throws hard. He's a flamethrower. And we need guys who can shove in the back end of the bullpen, like Mason Miller, like, Luke Weaver, right? So, and again, Devin Williams is coming around little by little. He's gotten a hell of a lot better in May. I expect more from him in June. So, and I think he gets, and it's just historically speaking, if you look at his stats, he generally has a terrible April and he's, and a relatively slow May. And then he plummets after that. His numbers plummet. His ERA, I'm talking about stats, numbers, right? He's had a sub-2 ERA. The only reliever in baseball has had a sub-2 ERA in 3 consecutive seasons. And Devin Williams, he's on the Yankees right now. So, but that's the question. Like, is Bird or Miller or Finnegan or Helsley? And I'm going to pull up here. Let's see Jake Bird Rockies. So, Bird Rockies. All right. Colorado Rockies. Here we go. And again, he's 29 years older. He's got 156 ERA this year. 156 ERA. Okay, he's 1-1. He's got a 1.7 WAR already. Okay, and this dude's got facial hair. It looks like he has 2 more controllable years beyond this year. So it looks like he won't be a free agent until 2027 or 2028, maybe 2028. So that's another one. No, I don't think they will. And this is right here, Jonathan. Like, this is what I'm. Hey, Ken, what do you know, Ken? Like, right now, and this is why I mention this right now. Like, the time for the Yankees to bring in an arm is now. If Luke Weaver's going to miss time, we don't want to have any interruption or disruption in the performance of this bullpen. So the time to add an arm is now. Like I said, David Robinson would have been a nice guy to bring in earlier, but he needs a ramp-up period. And that ramp-up period is going to be pretty much the same period of time that Luke Weaver is going to be out. And that doesn't help the Yankees, right? So trading for one of these guys would make more sense, right? Yeah, exactly, Ken Burton. He's got 2 more years of ARB after this. So that's a guy that could be a valuable piece for the Yankees. And the Rockies suck, right? And in terms of the A's also, I'm looking at trade deadline needs. I was looking at this earlier. The A's need help with defense. They need help with pitching too. So could the Yankees give them a pitcher, like a back-end pitcher, a pitching prospect, right? And a defensively strong player. That's why I mentioned Roderick Arias or something like that for the linebacks. I would also mention him for the A's too. He's a defensively strong pitcher. Their offense has been a pleasant surprise this year, but they do need pitching. Now, let's look at the other team, the Rockies. Let's pull up the Rockies here. The Rockies need pretty much everything, but the Rockies need right-handed. Let's see, the best player, and the best player available is right-handed reliever Jake Bird. It's on the Rockies site here, right? And you can give them a positional and a pitching prospect. I would give them a decent amount of the Dodgers to sign Jose Urena. Okay, the Dodgers sign another reliever. You see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, they're loading up. Tyler Mahle, well, is he a back-end reliever? No, I think he's a spot starter, right? So, and again, I think the Rockies might be more, and it says here that he's available. So the Rockies, I think, would be more willing to sell Jake Bird than they would Ryan McMahon, right? So could there be a move there? Would the Yankees be willing to? Ken, what would you give, Jonathan? What would you give the Rockies for somebody like Jake Bird? Right? Now, while I'm asking you guys this, let's pull up. Let's see. The Dodgers just keep signing guys. Yeah, right-hand reliever. This year, he's 0-0 with a 5.87 ERA. All right. He was with the Texas Rangers, right? No, he's with the Blue Jays. He's 33 years old. Career 4.78 ERA, but he a fair amount of strikeouts. He's decent. Another Everson Pereira and a pitching prospect. I would be okay with that for a guy like Jake Bird. And Everson Pereira probably light it up over there. And he's blocked on the Yankees anyway. Right? He's blocked. So Everson Pereira and a pitching prospect, you can sign me up for that. Pitching prospect, you give him somebody like, I don't know. I have to look that up. But I would give him a decent pitching prospect and Everson Pereira. And Everson Pereira hasn't even started his service time yet. Right? He only played a small handful of games. He hasn't even qualified as a rookie yet. So he still has 6 years of control before free agency, Everson Pereira. And he hits from the righty side. His bat has been pretty plentiful this year. So Everson Pereira and a pitching prospect would be a fair package for a guy like Jake Bird. He's a guy that might be, yeah. But Graham, to your point too, will the Rockies sell? I don't know. They probably should. Maybe should. And again, and Jake Bird he's an arbitration player. So he's on the cheap. Right? And so is Mason Miller. So Brock Selvage. Yeah, Brock Selvage is that's the thing I was thinking of. Selvage and Everson Pereira. That'd be a nice package for a guy like Jake Bird. That would be a nice package for a guy like Jake Bird. It really would. Now, the Rockies they'd be wise to sell. You need a first baseman in arms. TJ Rumfield and a pitcher. You could give him Rumfield too, instead of Everson Pereira. Rumfield or Pereira and the pitching prospect. And Rumfield hasn't started his service clock either. You're giving him a young, controllable player with multiple 6 years of control on the cheap for a team that's awful. And Rumfield's got some power in his bat, pretty good power. So does Everson Pereira. Their bat will probably play in Colorado, right? So the Yankees have some pieces there. Graham, yeah. The Rockies never seem to make the right moves or the smart moves. I feel bad for guys like Chris Bryant. Not only did he hurt, I feel bad for that, but like he went to a team that was never going to compete. Never. But they gave him the big bag. They gave him the money. It was like 180 or 200, whatever that money they gave Chris Bryant. And Bryant was a stud. And ever since he's got, it's like he's been cursed. Right? Ryan McMahon needs to get out of there too. Like, could you get Ryan McMahon and Jake Bird in the package? That would cost a heck of a lot. But that's a multiplayer package would address an arm in the bullpen and third base for the Yankees at the same time. That's a package worth giving some prospects for. And Ken and Jonathan, again, what would you guys give for Bird and McMahon? What would you guys do for that? It's great. What's up, Stephen B? What's happening, my man? This is, and again, TJ Rumsfeld, Brock Selvage, and you giving him Rumsfeld twice, Jonathan? TJ, does he have a brother, DJ? Brubaker too. JT Brubaker could be another guy, long relief and something like that. But yeah. McMahon is a lefty, but he's solid. Rumsfeld and Rumsfield. Am I missing something here? Dev. Roderick Garris is another guy. You can throw in a Roderick Garris for McMahon, but you'd also have to throw in somebody, let's just say, and McMahon's on a controllable contract too. It's on a decent contract. So yes, he is lefty, but and hit the Yankees pretty well when we played them, of course. He could, and he's a pretty solid defender too, and a good team player. Could the Yankees do that? Could they give him, offer Yorbit Vivas in there too? Right? Well, yeah, the time to strike for the Yankees is I think, is right now. John, what's happening, John? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Smack that like button, gang. Let's try to get the likes up if you don't mind. This is the key. And it hasn't been made official yet that Luke Weaver is going to go on the IL, but what we're hearing is based on the MRI, he's going to miss probably 4 to 6 weeks. That's why I'm live talking to you right now, because I want to see what you guys and gals would do. Any names for a starter? The only starter worth, Sandy Alcantara, he's got a big arm. He's not pitching that well, but his price tag's not going to be high. I think Freddie Peralta is better than Alcantara right now, but his price is going to be high too. But I don't know if the Yankees, if Luis Hill comes back and he comes back strong and healthy, then they might not need to add a starter. They could just load up on it. Maybe get two relievers. So do I extend Weaver's contract? I don't know. It depends how much it's going to cost. With the way he's pitching, it's going to cost him $10 million a year. So I don't know if the Yankees want to do that, which is why I'm proposing somebody like Mason Miller, who could replace Weaver. And if he works with Matt Blake, I think he'd pitch a heck of a lot better. But this is where Brian Cashman can work his magic here. Rumsfeld, Brubaker, and Beater. Is that for McMahon and Bird? Yeah, well, that's the thing. Weaver has got ice in his veins. He can clearly pitch well here, and he's beloved by the fans. And he's just at home here. So I do think they'll make a concerted effort to try to keep Luke Weaver, and I think they should. I would. But if you can get somebody like one of these big boys in the back end of the bullpen, then yeah. Rumsfeld, Selvage, Arias, Everson, Pereira for McMahon and Bird. Okay. All right. Believe me, John, I want Donovan too, but I don't know if it's gonna. I doubt it's gonna happen. I've been talking about freaking Donovan for 2 years. You act like I'm dating the guy, but you know, yeah. Jay Cousins, apparently he's about to start his rehab, so he's projected to come back soon. But in the nearest future, it's supposed to be Clayton Beater first. Jazz Chisholm's in the lineup tonight, and so he's back. So we'll see what roster move they make. The corresponding roster move will happen later. I'll get that out to you. So Andrew Abbott of the Reds. Interesting. What about the guy? What about Brady Singer? Didn't the Royals trade him to the Reds also, Ken, for Jonathan India? He'd be a guy that worth looking into, maybe. Yeah, Jay Cousins working his way back. I mean, Clayton Beater's working his way back. Yeah, Jazz in tonight, and then we'll have Stanton coming back at some point too. But my guess is the corresponding roster is probably going to be Reyes or Vivas tonight that get option or DFA'd or whatever for Jazz Chisholm. No. Those three plays for both. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's 15. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Ken. Like, you're giving them 15 controllable years on the cheap, right? That's value. Lance McCullers, is he still pitching? Oh, God. Oh, the Yankees have some more promotions here. Thank you, Jonathan. They promoted Rock Riggio and Brendan Jones have been promoted from single A to double A. Look at that. All right. I like it. Well done, Jonathan. Thank you. Communicate that message out a little bit later. Fantastic. This is good work. Singer is with the Reds. Okay, yeah. Demon D, what's up, baby? What is good, my man? Brady Singer's with the Reds. So the Reds have some, and I think, the Reds the Reds can use some players with controllable years that Tito can develop over there with some of these guys, since they're not going to really, I don't think they're going to compete this year. I'm a hard pass on trading for Soto again. That ship has sailed. That ship has sailed, baby. That's the Mets problem now. Yeah, Miley. But it's good to see, like, Cam Schlittler, for those that haven't heard, he's been promoted from AA to AAA. So today. So it's good to have some pitchers on the high end of the system. We haven't had pitchers on the high end of the system since Clark Schmidt and like those guys. So it's good to see. And we have like guys like Ben Hess and Bryce Cunningham. I think he's drafted some very highly touted pitchers last year. And right now they're projected, based on what I'm reading, they're projected to draft an outfielder right now for pick number 39. That's what I'm reading, but we'll see. But it sounds like they're going to draft an outfielder, but you never know. There you go. See, there you go, Demon D. No pancakes allowed. And Consul Yeti, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you. Your generosity. Thank you, man. We're going to keep this going, man. We're going to keep this going. That's a made man right there. Made man right there. Yeah. Pull up Abbott's phone numbers and Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott stats. Okay, let me see here. This is from Ken. He's 5-0 with a 1.51 ERA, 53 strikeouts with a WHIP of 1.03. Well, that's pretty impressive stats, actually. This year he's pitched in. He started 9 games, 47 innings pitched, 31 hits, 53 strikeouts versus 18 walks. So he's got 3-1 strikeout to walk ratio. That's actually pretty good. And he's a lefty too. He's a lefty. Interesting. Well done, Ken. What's his contract status? Ken? Cunningham and Yankees for our system. That's what I'm hearing too. That Cunningham is more highly touted than Ben Hess. He's nasty, bro. And again, these guys are both SEC guys, and SEC is the premier conference in college for football and baseball. So he's a Vanderbilt guy. Ben Hess is a University of Arkansas guy. So they have some big time arms that these guys can rocket through the system. So Bryce Cunningham is a guy that I would not move on from. I would definitely keep. Chase Hampton was a huge loss. He would probably be in the majors. I agree with that. He was the guy that was being, given comparisons to Garrett Cole because of his makeup and his arm. So I'm hoping he gets a chance to do that again. Kyle Finnegan, again, he's another guy. And again, the contractual commitment to Finnegan is nothing beyond this year, just like it's nothing beyond this year for Ryan Helsley, too, for the Cardinals. They're both free agents at the end of this year. So Ken's got 2 more years of VARB. So this is the type of guy like we're looking for here. Andrew Abbott, Brady Singer, like these types of guys right now. Because we know Hal likes to keep the payroll, and we're already over the Cohen threshold multiple times. So anything is going to be taxed at 100 to 110%. So could you imagine if they signed Alex Bregman to $40 million a year like the Red Sox? The Yankees would be paying $80 million a year for this guy. $80 million. Freaking Alex Bregman. No, thank you. So I think they will protect Hampton in Rule 5. They got to protect Spencer Jones in Rule 5 too after this year. The Yankees have some decisions to make. And to protect people from the Rule 5 draft, for those that don't know, you have to be put on the 40-man. So 40-man protection keeps guys away from being exposed to Rule 5. And the Yankees tend to be raided or looted by other teams in the Rule 5 draft. No. Well, that's the thing too, Grammy. Like, would they give up something like Jojo Romero instead of Helsley? Don't know. Like Abbott, similar picture. Yeah, and Yarbrough reminds me. I was mentioning this to Ace and to Hector too. That Yarbrough reminds me of Jamie Moyer. Just like lanky, not hard throwing. This guy won 260 games pitching like Yarbrough. And Yarbrough's got a better ERA, and he's got some better out stuff than Jamie Moyer does. So Yarbrough is providing some great value to this Yankee team. So go to him, man. Ken, thank you so much for coming on, my friend. I'm gonna wrap this up shortly. I got to get back to work myself. But right now, Jake, I think a couple of solid moves, and they don't necessarily need to be huge blockbuster moves, because like I said, Luis Hill coming back is going to be almost equivalent to trading for a pitcher at the deadline. So especially if he pitches well, so could be Jojo Romero, and Yarbrough could he? I don't know if he'll get a QO. Maybe if he gets a QO, I think he's going to take it because he would be going from like 1 million to 20 million. But you could be right, Jonathan. He could get a QO. Nathan Eovaldi. The problem with Nathan Eovaldi is his price tag. Unless he makes $25 million a year for the next 3 years. So the Rangers would have to eat a fair amount of his contract in order for the Yankees to consider that trade. It's a big arm. Yes. It's like Jacob deGrom is. But the price tags that come along with these guys they're very high. So some eating of the contract would have to take place. The Yankees to pull off a trade like that. Which I do think I'm hoping that the Yankees, when Luis Hill comes back, he's good. He's healthy. So, but I could see them getting a back-end starter too. I could definitely see that. So, and again, Hill will need a little ramp-up when he comes back too. Just like a guy like David Robinson would need a ramp-up. So any trade for a reliever right now, it's got to be a reliever who's pitching actively right now. I think because that's what's going to provide we're losing from Luke Weaver. And I like Fernando Cruz coming back, but he's a different pitcher than Luke Weaver. Okay, he gives us innings and outs and all this type of stuff. Luke Weaver was our shutdown closer. A different feel, different take in the bullpen. So the team needs a damn bluefin tuna. Yeah, a great white shark. So they do. Yeah, Yankees got Yarbrough. Could you imagine that? Got DFA by the Jays. They got him for pennies on the dollar. Could you imagine that? And this is one of these brilliant finds by Brian Cashman, who never gets credit for this type of stuff. Like he didn't get credit for Luke Weaver last year. And I remember I was sitting in a damn car dealership waiting for my car to be serviced, and that news came out. I put up the video, and people were like, "What a dumpster time! What a shit move!" People were poo pooing the move, and look what Luke Weaver is. He's turning to be gold for the Yankees. So yeah, and a tune, yeah, I mean a tune up instead of a makeover, no doubt about it. You just can just get a couple of. Weaver was 2 years last year. This is his second year, Stephen B. This was his second year. Um, so it was last year and this year. So Weaver's a free agent after this year. So is Devin Williams. So they stand to lose two big arms in the bullpen. Well, exactly, Beagle. I mean, with Luke Weaver, I was like, okay, this guy's showing potential, but when he came here and, Matt Blake's turned him into a damn phenomenon, which is awesome. So, and I'm guessing that, they're trying to work their magic right now, Brian Cashman, trying to figure out what to do, especially once this IL trip becomes official with Luke Weaver, right? Because they're going to have to make a corresponding move. They're going to have to make an addition. And again, Fernando Cruz coming back could be the corresponding roster move too, if they put Luke Weaver on the IL later today. Just like Reyes or Vivas or something like that could be the corresponding roster move for Jazz Chisholm coming back. So it could just like default roster moves. But yeah. Yeah, I mean this is where we got Weaver out of the the scrap heap, man. Yeah. Out of scrap heap. And then that move was just blasted by a lot of fans, and now a lot of fans don't really have much to say. So should be right now. Well, the move for what? Weaver? The move for Weaver? Jake Bird from the Rockies would be a move I would make for Weaver. I mean, if you can get a Mason Miller, but cost would be high. It wouldn't cost as much to get Jake Bird from the Rockies, but that dude is nasty. Jake Bird. He dominated us when we played the Rockies. He just shut our bats down. We couldn't touch the guy. So he's a guy, and he's apparently available right now from the Rockies. So you give him a couple decent prospects with controllable years, and all of a sudden he's got 2 more years of arbitration after this year. That's a guy I would want DJ to want. So Jake Bird would be a guy I would want to bring in here now. And then once Luke Weaver comes back, like you have Weaver, you have Devin, you have Jake Bird, you have that's all the makings of just a massacre bullpen. Just a straight up nightmare for hitters. That's the type of bullpen I want here. I hope that the Yankees can get. So, any other questions, gang? Any final thoughts before I wrap it up? I want to thank you all for coming on. This was really, really insightful here. You have to make a corresponding moves because he'll be off to 26. Graham, yes, they will. If Weaver goes on now, they have to make. Well, I mean, like I said, Fernando Cruz could be the corresponding move because he'll be put back on the 26. So Cookie did get cut Sunday, yes. He did get cut. He got put on waivers. But again, we'll see if he gets claimed on waivers. If he doesn't get claimed, then he can come. The Yankees could just bring him right back to the system. And he'll be off the 40 man if he gets claimed. If he doesn't get claimed. So, well, right now, Jazz is coming back today. He's in tonight's lineup. But beyond that, I would still be looking. I mean, Ace brought up Ahmed Rosario, like a productive guy like that who can just be kind of move around the field and be productive without being super expensive. Yeah. Cousins could come back soon too, Jonathan. So we have reinforcements coming back. But, I mean, in terms of infield, I think the reinforcement would have to come from outside the franchise. Yeah. Could you imagine Bird, Cruz, Weaver, Williams? That's just nasty. Absolute filth. Filth. And Cousins, yeah. Like, my God. Whew. You got Tim Hill to that too? Like, man. They sent Yeri down to make room for Cookie, yes. They did. And they placed Cookie on waivers. So right now, you have to wait and see if he gets claimed on waivers. If he does, then he gets taken off immediately and put on the other team's 40-man roster. And if he doesn't, he'll go most likely come back to the Yankees and be put into the minor leagues, and then he'll be taken off the 40-man. So it is a musical chair king, yeah. So expect a couple of corresponding roster moves today. They'll happen later, most likely when the lineup comes out, because then we'll have a much better insight as to the Yankees, how they're strategically putting this together. And I'll get that out to you. You have my word on that. But guys and gals, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate you all. Stay tuned. A lot more news to come. Jonathan, as always, thank you, man. The Consigliere, you guys are the best. The absolute best. Love you guys. Have a great day. Go Yankees.